And we are back, episode 28 of Journey to a Million. Only two more off-season previews. This episode, episode 28. And then next week, episode 29. And then we are proud to announce that our fantasy football previews then begin. And that's going to be exciting stuff. Myself, Drew Skyberg, here today. And Jared Valesky's joining me. No Zack for this first half of the episode. Hopefully, he will be joining us, so he will be missing out on the Atlanta Falcons, the first team here. And Jared, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, this is going to be a great episode here. We have the Falcons of Atlanta and then the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jared, did you see the Philly Eagles, their new logo unveiling?
I did not. No.
It's something. We'll leave it for the second half, and we'll hear Zach's view on that as well. But look, let's go in here to the Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting team with, the amount of rookies. I mean, look, if you're looking at next year or this upcoming year, I guess is the better way to say it. But just first with the Atlanta Falcons, going back to last year, right? I mean, it wasn't necessarily a great year whatsoever. Jared, you know how we start this. Give me the grade for the Atlanta Falcons.
I had a D, but then I went up to a C-. Originally, I looked at it, I was like, I didn't think they were that good, but they did have 7 wins with the team they had. Obviously, they had Matt Ryan, but I upped it a little bit. Still not a good season, but yeah, C-.
It's tough for me because at the end of the day, it was more of, one of those rebuild years, even though they still had Matt Ryan at quarterback. That was my whole thing. I know they went out, we'll talk about it. They went out and got their guys this year, but that was it was tough to rebuild when you have Cordero Patterson, you have Matt Ryan. I mean, you have older guys here. So that's where it was tough for me, but even defense is getting older. But like Jared said, you get 7 wins. Mediocre team, right? Not playoff expectations, but they were just kind of like in no man's land in that middle spot. They didn't do bad enough to get a really high draft pick, but they didn't do good enough to maybe make the playoffs. So I'll put them at the C range, right? I think that's their definition of a C there. But let's move on to this offseason now, Jared. This was quite the offseason here for the Atlanta Falcons. Really a complete rebuild, with some of the guys. And look, let's start with the big news, right? Matt Ryan gets traded away. He goes to Jared's Colts. So, Jared, I want to hear your thoughts, right, as a Colts fan, because personally, right, I mean, this doesn't affect myself as a Packer fan in the NFC. What do you think about Matt Ryan going to the Colts?
Well, at first, I was kind of mad because I wanted Baker Mayfield because he was a younger quarterback looking for a future, as we had 6 quarterbacks in the last 6 years. But then I look back and I was like, okay, we have a few years with him probably. We're already looking at new quarterbacks in a few years, I'm sure, because he's like 50 or he's like 37 years old, 36. He's getting up there.
37. Yep.
37. So we traded a 3rd-round pick for him. We weren't going to give up a 1st-round pick because that's what happened with Wentz, and we ended up, losing that trade. So, I mean, I'm kind of happy with it. He's still an above-average quarterback, I would say. He's probably a top 20. He's not top 15, top 10. He's not that good. But, I mean, career-wise, he is, but not, next year, I wouldn't say. So I kind of like it, honestly, for being a Colts fan.
I think it's a great fit. I know Phillip Rivers is kind of like, people are like, oh, older quarterback, bring him in. I think Matt Ryan's going to really benefit this passing game. Look, Michael Pittman, I know this isn't a Colts podcast here. Michael Pittman as a breakout candidate. You cannot tell me otherwise. And then overall, having JT helping him and even Naeem Hines, I think that's another guy. Look at.
And they're targeting Terry McLaurin, as Pat McAfee said today.
There you go.
So that would be a huge
heard
addition.
It here, but yeah, Matt Ryan is gone. But Marcus Mariota right now is the temporary replacement. We'll talk later why it's that in our draft talk. But some other offseason signings, right? We mentioned Mariota, Anthony Ferkser. I believe he signed from the Titans. But otherwise, I mean, there isn't a lot of guys who they really signed. I mean, the Rashaan Evans, they signed. But talking about losses, I think it's a bigger story, right?
Yeah,
to go through those. Russell Gage goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hayden Hurst to the Bengals. Josh Harris to Zack's Chargers. Might as well call them Zack's Chargers at this point. Dante Fowler goes to the Cowboys. And, I mean, we mentioned Matt Ryan getting traded. So, I mean, they lose those guys. So that's the big story there. So the offense is going to look completely different. The offensive line that's going to be an interesting one there. Just overall how the complexity of the line is, because I mean, Jared, looking through it, I mean, they didn't really go out and sign a lot of guys. Was there any? Did you like the signing of Marcus Mariota?
I mean, they needed someone. I mean, they didn't have really anyone, but you got to get what you can. But I think the biggest, not even a move, but like the biggest thing that happened for this team over the offseason, besides Matt Ryan, it's got to be Calvin Ridley getting suspended for the whole year. I mean, he was out last year.
Yep.
He was out last year with his mental illness stuff, and then he got suspended for gambling on his.
Oh yeah, he made a bet on his own team. He was betting. Yep.
Yeah. So they lost him, and then all the people you said. I mean, now they're not looking too promising, I would say, for the future as of now. They're all young.
Which, I mean, for the future, they're looking promising, I'd say. But this next
few years, yeah,
this is going to be a rebuild year, right?
Yeah.
In the NFL, and also, right. I mean, they went out, they re-signed Cordell Patterson. I wonder, what how that's going to work, because we'll talk about Tyler Algier. In the draft, they went out and got him. Arguably, it looks like he's going to be Patterson's replacement. Mm-hmm. But other guys they got Casey Hayward. I didn't mention him.
I didn't even know they did until a little while ago, honestly.
I believe. And yeah, I guess overall, looking at it, so it was a solid, it was just kind of in the middle there. Their defense, though, I still want to talk about.
Yeah.
AJ Terrell, very underrated. Casey Hayward, was the signing they went out and got. And then they still have Rashawn. They have Rashawn Evans, the guy they went out and got, and Deion Jones, who's been, a cornerstone in the middle there. So the defense overall looks, that they look solid there. The pass rush is going to be interesting. Like, you got Grady Jarrett, and then the other guys are not, Grady Jarrett-esque. So that's going to be a story there with the defense. But let's talk about the draft, though. I think the draft's the big story. We got to keep not avoiding it here. Drake London goes at number 8. They get him in the first round. They had 1 first-round pick, 2 second-rounders, 2 third-rounders, a 5th rounder, 2 6th-rounders, and we'll talk about him here. Drake London's a big story. They get him at 8, like I said, at USC. Drake London, are you a fan of? I think, him and Garrett Wilson are wide receiver 1A, wide receiver 1B in this draft. And if you end up with one of them, the 6'5", Drake London, I think you got a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that their quarterback might not be the best for him, but Drake London's a great pickup. You needed a receiver, obviously, with the whole Ridley thing and losing all their receivers like Russell Gage, like you said. So he'll fit pretty good as a top receiver, unless it's going to be Kyle Pitts, which he definitely could be.
Dynasty holder of Kyle Pitts. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Drake London is out at USC. I think that's where Michael Pittman was from. So it's kind of cool to see his teammate coming in to the league. I mean, and great players.
So Pittman's going to come to the Falcons, right?
No, Drake London will get traded eventually. That's the thing. But it's a good signing. They needed a receiver, and I was surprised with the rest of the draft. They went heavy defense, even though or at least the next 2 picks. Even though like that's probably their strong suit right now, with obviously their great cornerbacks, AJ Terrell, up and coming corner, and like you said, Arnold Ebikite, outside linebacker, and then they went with Troy Anderson, inside linebacker. So they kind of tried to buff out their
I think Jared with Ebikite out of Penn State, you might see him, right? I mean, the pass rush I mentioned, other than Jarrett, it's not there. So you know what they did? They went out and got 2 defensive ends. They got like Troy Anderson, like you said, on Montana State, a guy who right now looks right. I mean, Deion Jones he's getting up there in age. So, looking at a guy who can get led and taught by one of the best in Deion Jones, who's 27, right? I mean, if we look at linebacker shelf life, not going to say it's 27. I'd say it's more 28, 29, not like the running back where they say 27 is when the decline takes place, which again, is not always true in that case, but this draft was nice, like for the Atlanta Falcons, but we got to talk about more of it here. 3rd round, Desmond Ridder. So they get the quarterback out of Cincinnati. Looks like, Matt Ryan's replacement. It's going to be, right? And what I personally think is going to happen, I think they're going to put Mariota out there. They're going to make him compete, right? Make Ridder earn the spot. They're going to have throw Mariota out there the first 3 or 4 or 5 games. But I think it's only a matter of when Desmond Ridder is starting under center for the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion. So I don't know what you think. Do you think we'll see Ridder start? I'll say I'll say we see him start over half the games. I'd go that bold.
Yeah, I could see that. It depends how, like you said, how Mariota starts out. But I was kind of surprised how he got drafted over Malik Willis when they had the chance to get him. I don't know if they saw something special in him, what they saw looking in before the draft. But yeah, I think he'll play probably the second half of the season, if anything, because I think Mariota is not a guy that can be your starting quarterback. So I think that coming out of and a rookie, obviously out of the draft, Ritter will be a good future for the team, but maybe not this first year.
What do you think about getting quarterback this year and not waiting for the stat class next year? What do you think? Do you like that they went out and got it this year? I personally do, because you already have Kyle Pitts for a year. I think, and I don't want to say necessarily speed it up because it's not necessarily this fast process, but I think if you get Drake London this year too, you get these receivers, you better get your quarterback this year, because think about the more time they'll have to develop a connection, in the passing game. I think I personally am just fine with it, but I think you have to. All right, if they wouldn't have, I would have been like, well, what are they doing? Mariota's going to build this connection with these guys for a year just to get shipped off. So I'm happy with them getting that. And they might have got their wide receiver one, quarterback one, running back one for the next, let's say in 2 years. It might be that. Tyler Algier out of BYU. And look, he is as a back. I mean, he's 5'11", 220. He's a shorter, kind of explosive back. And with that, doesn't really necessarily have the speed component there, but I think he can develop into a solid guy who can break tackles and just kind of, be that powering force with this offense. And I think that'll be a nice complementary piece to what they have going in the passing game with, like we mentioned, London and Pitts. And we don't know about Ridley, right? I mean, of course, we know he's going to be gone, suspended this year, but
at least
we don't know about next year, right? I mean, it's tough to gauge that here. And but overall, the draft, last two picks was Justin Schaefer out of Georgia and then John Fitzpatrick out of Georgia. So, that was the story here. They went out, Schaefer being the offensive lineman and Fitzpatrick being a tight end. So maybe, and tight end being 6'7", 250, so they have three tight ends really now with Berkser, Fitzpatrick, and Pitts. So, three tight ends set there. Clearly possible now. And look, Jared, let's talk now about kind of this team for next year. We'll do the record prediction first, and then we'll go to the fantasy outlook. I think that's the way we'll roll here. So let's be weird, just us two. Jared, I will let you go first here. So I'm going to read the 17 games for the Atlanta Falcons in the 2022 to 2023 season. Hosting New Orleans, at Los Angeles, the Rams, at Seattle, hosting Cleveland, at Tampa Bay, hosting San Francisco, at Cincinnati, hosting Carolina, hosting the Chargers, at Carolina, hosting the Bears, at Washington, hosting the Steelers, the bye week, at New Orleans, at Baltimore, hosting Arizona, and then hosting Tampa Bay.
That's for this team, that's a tough schedule.
Yeah. Rams, Chargers.
Yeah.
You got the Buccaneers, of course, twice. You have the Browns, but you have the Browns early in the season. Keep that in mind. And you also, so you got to go first here.
Yeah. I would say this team is young. Like you said, it's going to take a year. 3-14, 4-13. I'm going to say 4-13. I'm going to say 4-13. I'm going to give them a game. I think they'll beat like the Commanders or something.
They'll beat the Bears. They can beat the Panthers
once. Yeah.
They can beat the Seahawks.
Seahawks. That was the other one I was going to say.
Can they steal a game in the schedule?
Steelers.
I think they can steal a couple games.
Yeah.
What'd you say? 4-13?
4-13. Yeah.
Look, I don't want to say the same as you, so I'll go 5-12. But I think 4-13, 5-12. I think that's a good range for this squad. Like we said, they're young. They could steal a game, right? I mean, this squad, it's the NFL. These guys are professionals, so totally could see that happening. But let's go into fantasy outlook, Jared. This is the fun part here to round out this first half of the episode here before we talk about the Eagles. So, big story, Jared. Let's start with who is going to be the number one receiver on this team. Will it be Kyle Pitts? Will it be Auden Tate? Will it be, who Who will be, Jared?
I think just because you drafted
London?
Drake London at pick 8, I think they'll use him a lot. But Kyle Pitts is already proven, so they might start with going to Kyle Pitts a lot first few games of the season, and then kind of work Drake London in a little bit. So I think at the end of the year, Drake London will catch Kyle Pitts in yards. But last year, Kyle Pitts had 1,000 in his rookie year, so it'll be close. But I'm gonna say Kyle Pitts has the most.
I'm going
the
Pitts.
most target.
I hope Kyle Pitts, and no bias, even though I have him on the fantasy team for Dynasty. Kyle Pitts as a red zone target. I don't see why not. And I know London with his 6'5" frame is going to be certainly appealing there too. But Pitts isn't necessarily a small guy either. He's a giant, so I like that. Cordell Patterson, Jared, would you draft him in a redraft league? That's another story with Patterson. So he surprised many. A lot of leagues. He was a waiver wire pickup. Mm-hmm. So. What are you thinking about him? I don't have ADP numbers for him, but we'll have ADP numbers, of course, when we do the fantasy our episodes. But Patterson at age 31, new running back too. Tyler Algier coming in. Patterson not participating at Falcons mini camps. I don't know. Of course, he's older. It doesn't really mean much. But what do you think about Cordell Patterson at fantasy? Would you be looking to draft him?
I wouldn't be looking to draft him. No, I would say if he is starting, obviously I got Algier if he's starting instead. But if Patterson's going to be the running back 1, I would look at picking him up as a good bench running back, maybe like a 3 or 4 on the team, just in case for a bye week you can throw him in there. But by then in the season, he might not even be playing. So that it's kind of hard for me right now, not knowing if he's going to be their number 1 or their number 2, but. I would say for right now, I would probably try to avoid him just because you don't really know what he's going to bring to the table.
So I don't have ADP, but I agree with what you said. I'm looking right now. I think I'm seeing like round 6, round 7. He might be going in some leagues. Yikes.
Okay.
Anything round 8 or later. I think if you can get him, and this is a 12-team league. I mean, like how Zack, the post actually went up yesterday. Zack did that mock draft. Looking at it was a 12-team PPR. We're gonna keep it standard when we're talking fantasy. That's what we're looking at, 12-team PPR. So yeah, round 8. If you can get him in there, maybe end around 7, right? But the risk is high. I mean, kind of what you were alluding to with him because again, rookie running back, age, injury, a lot of it there. But the big thing was him with like receptions and receiving touchdowns. That was the story last year. If he can get some sort of output like that, I don't see why not. But
yeah,
look, that's going to be the story there. And then, Desmond Ridder. It's tough with him and Mariota because we don't know who's going to be starting in let's say week 7. Who's going to have the job?
Yeah, that's probably why there's not many lines out for NFL futures.
Exactly.
I wouldn't think. Because they don't know if he's actually going to be their starting quarterback or not.
And in Dynasty, right? I mean, if you drafted Ridder, that's going to be a guy, hold on for years to come. Nice guy to stash there. And yeah, I mean, that's going to kind of wrap it up here for this first half of the episode. Jared, do you have anything else about the Atlanta Falcons?
No, I mean, they're young. From here, they're just going to get better. So, I mean, Good luck to them.
After this next season, I think it's only up from here.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, with that, we're going to take a little quick break here, and then when we come back, we'll be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles.
I was recently introduced to AG1, and wow, if you're someone like me who hates taking pills and vitamins, wants more energy, and wants a more optimized immune system, let me tell you why this is the perfect supplement for you. So what is this stuff, you may ask? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's all those things. And look, this is the perfect thing to start your morning routine, start your day off right with just one scoop of AG1 with some water. And let's talk about AG1. What makes it so great, you may ask? It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good. tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, right? And it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. And let's talk about the price, right? You might be asking about that. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance, and with that, that's going to save you money, right? It costs you less than $3 a day while you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than that cold brew habit, which I do have. I do love my coffee, but talk about what the founder did here. He created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutritional routine on your own, and I can attest to that. It is extremely difficult on a day-by-day basis. Athletic Greens, they also have over 7,000 5-star reviews, so you are getting the best when it comes to Athletic Greens. And also, they're a climate neutral certified company, so they care about the environment. And for every purchase, they donate to organizations helping to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the U.S. And right now, it is just time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. Look, to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 year's supply free of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/emerging. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/emerging. athleticgreens.com/emerging. EMERGING. And that is to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Episode 28 resumes on the podcast, and we have our special guest, Zack Roush, actually joined us for the second half of the episode. Yeah.
I did make this half, yes.
Zack, it happens to the best of us. It just happens to Zack more than others. Yeah. But he is here for the second half, and it's good to have him on. So we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, and as I mentioned in the first half, they unveiled their new logo. I mean, it's a new word mark, I guess, the way to describe it. What did you think about it, Zack? Not many people liked it.
I liked it.
You did like it. Okay, so you're in the. Jared's gotta look this up because he has no idea what it is.
I like their old one too, but I mean, I don't know. I think I'm kind of indifferent about it. I like both of them, so.
I think the old one's better, and it looks.
I guess it just has more kind of like the border on the letters. It just has.
It seems so unnecessary, though.
Yeah. It really wasn't necessary.
Yeah,
but
I get it as we can sell it as this. It's a new way of generating revenue, right? But come on, it looks garbage. I'll be honest. Like, in my opinion, maybe not garbage, but it looks bad compared to the other. Why change something that was working, right?
Like, I wouldn't say garbage. It just looks unnecessary. Kinda.
I get if they want to change the logo and then change that with a logo, sure. But just change that and not change the logo. I think the Eagles have a fine logo, and I don't know. Yeah. Not a fan. And
maybe they just got bored this offseason. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly what it was. Let's talk about that offseason. But first, we got to talk about the past season. So the 2021 season for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Zack, we'll start with you. What did you think about this Philadelphia Eagles season? How would you grade it?
I'll give it a C+. Obviously, the start to the year wasn't that great, but they really came together at the end of the year. The rushing game was, I think it was ranked 2. Was it 1 or 2?
It was one of the best in the NFL, yep.
Yeah, so they had a great rushing game. I think they kind of learned what kind of a team they need to be if they want to win games and what makes them the best team they can be. And I don't think they had any expectations of making Super Bowl run, anything like that last year. But getting second in the division, close for the playoffs, I think that's a decent outcome.
Yeah. You go, Joe, Jared.
Okay, I gave him a B-, a little higher than Zack, because they made the playoffs, right? They lost to the Buccaneers. But
did they? Oh.
Yeah, they did. I'm pretty sure they lost by
they made the playoffs.
Touchdowns.
Yep, they were a
lost
playoff
by
team.
2 touchdowns to the Buccaneers, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a decent season. Obviously, they are still young quarterback in Jalen Hurts, but I'm kind of a little more mad about Miles Sanders. If he would have had like 5 more yards, I would have made the championship last year in one of my leagues.
But he didn't.
He still ended the game with like 28 points, but I needed him to have like
Boston
29.
Scott, the GOAT.
And
Jared,
Zach, stop offering me Boston Scott.
Zach likes to try to trade Boston Scott. So
I think he's a very valuable piece. He
All
can
right.
take over this backfield.
Sure.
I'm gonna go B for the squad. Like Zach did not mention, they were a playoff team, yes, and they did come up short against the Bucks in wild card weekend, but still it was a good step for this squad, right? With the team, Jalen Hurts, right, being able, hopefully they'll commit to him more, and that's gonna be the story, I think, as we talked about in the offseason with this Eagles squad. But yeah, I'll go B, make it playoffs. I think that's fair. And look, let's talk about some of the moves the Eagles made, right? The big story actually came in the draft was when they traded for A.J. Brown. Overall, let's talk about this trade first. What did you guys think about bringing A.J. Brown in? I absolutely love the move. I think, right, you have Devontae Smith, a young receiver there, develop him along with a guy, having an established vet in A.J. Brown. I think that's going to make for a nice dynamic duo for the Eagles. Hopefully Jalen Hurts can throw the ball, though. So
it was just a first round pick, right? They just traded it for the first round pick.
First and a third.
And
first
a third
for Brown.
And that turned into Burks, right? For the Titans.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I liked it for the Eagles. I mean, they have talent up and coming. So getting I don't want to really say veteran, but a better player in
he's established.
Yeah. AJ Brown will obviously help them tremendously. Now they have some more weapons, obviously with Dallas Goedert, like you said, Devontae Smith. So they have a solid run game. So I think this team is looking good in the next few years and going forward from there.
What did AJ Brown get on his new deal? It's like $25 a year, right?
For 4 years. It's an extension through 2026. So that's what I like, to be able to lock him up, right? If they get this done and they don't lock him in for longer term deal, it's like, okay, well, you gave the first and the third, but locking him in, big story. Bringing Fletcher Cox back for another year, a legend in Philly for another year there. Taking Jared's guy, Zach Pascal. I mean,
I wanted to mention that. Yeah,
that's
underrated. That's an underrated signing. Pascal.
Jared,
I mean,
just because
on
he
the
played
Colts.
for the Colts.
No,
you
always say that, but no, he was our number 2 behind Pittman, and he was a solid receiver. Like I remember against the Colts, we had some deep, or against the Packers 2 years ago, we had some deep threats to Pascal that kind of like solidified part of the game. But I mean, Pascal has always been that decent player who's not going to be a number 1 or 2, basically. I mean, the Colts didn't have a receiving core besides Pittman. So he's not going to be a 1 or 2, but he'll be a great weapon just to like throw to him and take up a defensive player.
Good role player.
Yeah.
It's nothing for me to look at. It's just, all right, they got a guy.
I'm just saying that because I've seen him play it like every game of his career, and
Jared, he's just a guy.
He can be a weapon.
No, he's a guy.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's good.
He's just a guy. Watch him be a top 30 receiver this year.
Let's talk about someone who's not a guy, who's an absolute, a legend there on the offensive line, who retired. Brandon Brooks retired. So that's a story for this team. Another one here, not a retiree, but a good signing here. Hassan Reddick, bringing him in for 3 years. Zach, what were your thoughts on this move? He's extended now or signed through 2024.
I like that deal. They had their defensive front seven was getting a little old. Obviously, they had Fletcher Cox, they had Derek Barnett, so they had some age up there. Hassan Reddick isn't obviously he's not a rookie or anything like that, but he's young enough that he has a couple years left to contribute. Kind of buys him some time to look into what they're going to do to address the front seven.
Yeah, one way to address it there, and another way to address the front seven, the draft. And that's exactly what the Eagles did in this draft. They didn't have many picks, right? I mean, with the trades that were made, they only had 5 picks, but they made the most of it. They went defense in 3 of them, then offense in 2 of them. And let's talk about it here. So they had 1 first rounder, 1 second rounder, 1 third rounder, 2 sixth rounders, and this is what they did. Jordan Davis, 13th overall, guy out of Georgia. And look, a lot of Bulldogs win this draft, as we know. Cameron Jurgens then went in round 2, an offensive lineman, 6'3". Arguably, my take is he's gonna be Brandon Brooks' replacement long term. I think that's kind of where you could see him slot in, being at 6'3". I think we'll see him at guard. Just with those first 2 picks, Jared, starting with you, what are your thoughts on getting Jordan Davis and Cameron Jurgens?
I mean, like you said, that defense, getting him, that's a good addition, another Bulldog on that team. I like that. There was a lot of talk about Jordan Davis, I know, before the draft, but yeah, I mean, good pick by them. And then, like you said, I mean, getting that Brooks replacement in Jurgens is a good draft. They had to get someone, and I think if he is their starter, which I'm sure he will be, but I mean, otherwise they might find someone else, and he could be a good just backup, I guess.
Yeah, Jurgens' pick was obviously position need with the Brooks retirement. But the Jordan Davis pick, we saw in college, he had some issues staying on the field. Like, it wasn't injuries or anything like that, but after 3-4 plays, he would need a break. So that's something for a 13th overall pick. That's a lot of draft capital that you're investing in somebody that may be only available 60% of defensive snaps, something like that. So I think he definitely needs to work on his, cardio, or like playing cardio, so he can play more snaps, play more downs, stay on the field, because on the field is where he's going to get production, where he's going to provide value to the defense.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they want out of Davis, of course. And I think they maybe see it in him that's something they can improve and work on. So I think he's certainly going to be a development there. 4-year contract, of course, he got with the 5th-year option. So that's going to be nice for this Eagles team. And look, he's going to be they cut Fletcher Cox, but then, like I said, they re-sign him to a more team-friendly contract, I believe. So he'll be, working with one of the best. So that's going to be a good story there. Then after the draft, right? I mean, Nicole, we got to still talk about some of the more of the draft picks here. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Nicole B. Dean out of Georgia, get that linebacker there. He did fall, though, due to injury concerns there. So Kyron Johnson, around 6 they went with, and then Grant Calcaterra they went with at round 6 as well, a tight end on SMU. So let's talk about Dean and Davis. Like Zach mentioned, I mean, arguably they in 2 of their first 3 picks, they went with guys with maybe a lot of risk. So it seems like, they played a little risky in the draft. Maybe they don't see concerns in Dean and Davis that others saw. But Zach, what are you thinking for these guys immediate impact wise? Do you think that these are guys who are going to make that impact right away?
So like I was kind of talking about a little bit before, I think first year Davis he won't be able to get up to that playing every down type of role. That might be a year 3, 4 type thing. So I think the first year too, Davis is he'll be a rotational guy. He's going to get his production. Obviously, everyone knows his size, his speed, stuff like that. And he's going to get to the quarterback. He's going to do his job. He just won't be out there every down. As his contract goes on, he's looking for that second deal. I think that's going to be where the playing every down is going to come up and be a big factor. Kind of what his second contract is. The Eagles want to stay with him, that kind of thing. And then obviously Dean, the two big concerns in the draft were his shoulder injury that he won surgery on, and then his size. He's a little bit undersized, but I think he played bigger than he was at Georgia, and he kind of led that defense. So I think that's something that can translate well to the NFL. He just, as long as his shoulder can stay where it is, stay in playing condition, and allow him to play.
Yeah, Zach, you're right on with that. Dean, right with the shoulder, was the big concern, and hopefully he stays healthy. Look, these are talented players, both of them, the Bulldogs there, and certainly going to be awesome to see what they'll do in the NFL. So with that, we got to talk about a few more signings here that took place after the draft. James Bradbury was the big one, gets cut from the Giants. Look, Giants cap space is a mess. We talked about it earlier in the offseason, and look, they went out, they got Bradbury, they solidified, they got another corner there, and look, with that, I guess Off-season wise, that kind of wrapped it up there for the Eagles. And is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we do our record predictions?
I don't think so.
What did you say, Zach? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yep.
All right. So for the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to read their 17 games, of course. Here they are: at Detroit, hosting Minnesota, at Washington, hosting Jacksonville, at Arizona, hosting Dallas, the bye week, hosting Pittsburgh, at Houston, hosting the Commanders, at Indianapolis, hosting Green Bay, hosting Tennessee, at New York, the Giants, at Chicago, at Dallas, hosting New Orleans, and then hosting the New York Giants. Zach, we'll start with you.
9-8.
All right. I'm going to go
be
here.
around the 500. Yeah.
I'll go 10-7. I will give them an edge there in the game. I think they make the playoffs again. And remember, I did say that they were winning this division.
That's what Zach said too. That's why I'm confused why he said 9-8.
His 9-8.
Cowboys are.
He had the Cowboys.
Cowboys at 9-8.
Did he? Okay.
So
I
will
so, yeah.
go. He did. Yeah, I'll go 10-7. I got them winning the division by a game because again, their schedule isn't necessarily easy, but they do have some more favorable matchups compared to other teams. So I'll go 10-7.
I went 10-7 as well. I had the Cowboys at 10-7. I think that they'll be tied for first, but the Cowboys will have the advantage. Obviously, I kind of do like the Eagles roster more, and I like their future a lot more than the Cowboys, but I think that the Cowboys have one more year in them that they'll win the division, and then the Eagles will slip in as like a 5 seed or a 6 seed.
I think with the Eagles, it all depends on Jalen Hurts.
Exactly what I was going to mention.
It comes down to how he plays, yeah.
And we'll talk about that here with our fantasy stuff, right? So, fantasy football. Where would you be looking at Jalen Hurts, right? Certainly his biggest asset is going to be him running the ball, right? I mean, it's why you draft a guy like Lamar Jackson, quarterback who can run, because you're hoping that they can have like okay passing, stats. And I mean, that's kind of what I think where Jalen Hurts is going to kind of go in fantasy like that. So would you be looking, look, super flex, obviously you'd be content with having him as your second quarterback. Anyone would be. But would you be looking at having him as your QB1? Jared, what are you thinking?
I think so. I think he's kind of like a stretch a little bit, but having like a Kyler Murray. I had him a couple years ago, or I think I met him last year. But he has that run option, and you're going to get his run points, which is worth more, obviously, than passing yards. So I think that having a mobile quarterback is a lot better, especially if a guy has weapons that he can throw to and then just run it out on his legs. I mean, you got A.J. Brown there, and you got Devontae Smith, Zach Pascal. He's got weapons. Dallas Goedert too. So I think having a mobile quarterback is going to be having Jalen Hurts might be a good start, not the best start, but I think he could be a solid running or quarterback for a team.
What was he last year? He was
QB 9.
9. Wow.
He was 11 points ahead. Well, again, it's why I mentioned the running game. That's going to put him ahead.
He was good last year.
Let me put this into perspective. I'll have all these numbers up as, like I said in the first half. I mean, we're going to be using ADP in our fantasy football preview episodes. We're going to be going through draft stuff last year. I mean, this is going to be some wild stuff here on Journey to a Million. So, yeah, it went in this order. It went Burrow at 8, Hurts 9, Murray 10. So, I mean, you're looking at a top 10 quarterback, arguably in fantasy right now, and who knows next year with A.J. Brown now on the squad. So, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I think I would probably I'd draft him as quarterback 1. It'd be if I wait a little bit on the quarterback, I wouldn't take him right away. But I think he'd be a solid number 1 quarterback. And I think he's one of the guys that if you do draft him to be your top quarterback, you're going to use the earlier pick on your backup quarterback than somebody that has maybe a Herbert or Mahomes, something like that.
You're going to get a safer pick, I think, with that. Get a safer backup is my opinion. So I think with that, it might be even what's a guy who's coming to your mind, Zach, as a safer backup? Maybe I don't want to say Tua, but maybe Tua. Maybe.
I don't know about Tua. I don't think I would stay away from Tua just because I don't think he's going to be that great of a quarterback.
I think
maybe
Zach Wilson.
I think that's kind of risky too.
I think both.
Zach Wilson,
Jimmy G, wherever he ends up. I guess there's G.
Maybe like a Dak.
if you can get him as a backup,
As a backup, that's a stretch.
Zach, he was QB7 last year.
Yeah, but
I know what the weapons and stuff. His ADP is gonna fall, but
he's gonna be going around that like quarterback 10 range, I think.
Maybe like a Ryan Tannehill might be a little better.
And
you got to think of quarterbacks that aren't going to be like a number one. You know, like Dak's going to be a number one on one of these teams.
I think Dak. You know, even with regardless of weapons, still think he'll be top 12 quarterback. You know, to start, but we'll save that more for the fantasy stuff here. Miles Sanders is the next one, of course, because he's always a story. You know, he's getting up there in age. But where would you be looking for Miles Sanders is my main question, because running back, I know with some injury stuff last year, right? But points per game wise, he was only averaging 7.6 to put in games he played. So he was a disappointment in fantasy last year. I mean, that's kind of how I'd word it. I know injuries, but Miles Sanders, I don't know where his stock will be looking, but arguably if you can get him, I think in late rounds, you know, as a bench guy, maybe, but I'm staying away from Miles Sanders in this, because I think, you know, I don't like running backs in offenses where their quarterback is their main running back. And I mean, I think that explains itself. I don't know where you guys stand on it, but that's my stance for sure.
Yes, the mock draft I did last week, he went at pick 7.1. So first pick of the 7th round.
I know.
Wow.
That's really. I would like him as a running back 3, maybe I'd like him, but it's kind of the same thing as Jalen Hurts, that if I do take him, I'm going to want like a Kareem Hunt or something or I'm going to want another receiver I can put in that flex. So like he'd be the option at flex, not my like every week flex spot.
I would definitely take him at 7.1. I think so. I mean, I had him last year, and he has games like you said. He averages 7 points or whatever, but he has games where he puts up 25, and you don't know when to start him when those games are gonna. That's a big problem. He's not consistent, but he does have games that he'll break out, and that's probably why his average is a little lower, because he doesn't have those games often. But when he does, I mean, you kind of want him starting.
Look, let's go to the receivers here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dick, but for sake of time, we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
AJ Brown, we're looking at is the big story. Devontae Smith is the other one. His leap is sophomore year. What are we thinking for those guys? Of course, AJ Brown finished as wide receiver 32 in total points wise, but he only did play 13 games. Keep that in mind. His average was at 9.1 a game, so he was at one of the top there in that with that. And like in the middle, I guess not in the top, but he was more in the 10 to 25 range. If you put that into account as points per game. Obviously, we can expect an uptick in Devontae Smith. So I don't know where you guys are leaning on the receivers for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. I personally would be looking at it again. It's a matter of where you can get them. I don't know, Zach, if you want to talk about some of your mock draft experience where you saw these guys fly off. But
so Devontae Smith went at 10.2 and AJ Brown went at 3.4.
I could get behind Smith at 10 in round 10. I think that's a nice value there.
Yeah.
So
I like AJ Brown even around 3. You think about last year, he had Tannehill. Is Tannehill really that much better at passing than Hurts? I think he is better, but
he's better.
Is he that much better that it's going to make that big of a difference?
No, I mean,
we haven't seen a lot of Hurts either. So
late third, I know this might be like, you know, a little picky here, but late third round, I'd be content with AJ Brown. You know, if I have like the 12th pick, 11th pick in the third round, that late. But because I mean the upside here is I think a wide receiver, you know, in between. I'm not gonna go top 10, but I'll say between 10 and 15. I could see it.
He went before Javonte Williams, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette.
No, I can't get behind that though, Zach.
Honestly,
I could,
too.
I just haven't looked at these guys.
They have, obviously it would be AJ Brown, then they got Dallas Goedert as their second receiving option, and then they have a run game. But that's, I mean, if you need someone to rely on, you're not relying on Miles Sanders. You're going to rely on your receivers.
You
got
got Kenneth Gainwell too.
Gainwell
got quite a few receptions on a backfield.
Yeah,
that's the one negative is they have so many options on offense that it's going to be crowded. They're going to be fighting for opportunity.
And that's why Devontae Smith was 10.3 or whatever, because he's going to be their fourth, fifth option in most.
That's fine with me
games.
because I think he is the upside where I'd be okay with that. Having Devontae at round 10. I think there's some good value there. But
Yeah.
let's now move here. Let's talk about Thrive Fantasy, everyone. Come prop up with us on Thrive Fantasy, right? If you want to begin your journey to $1 million, you got to begin it with Thrive Fantasy. With it, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus on only the top tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the match. We talked about last week with Zack, right? He knows Steph Curry. He knows Draymond Green. He knows Klay Thompson. So he's able to bet on things in Thrive Fantasy. And with that, you choose 10 of those 12 or 20 available player props to build your lineup. And each prop, it has the assigned fantasy value for both the over and the under based on how likely it is to hit the most props and rack up the most points to win a share of the prize pool. And that's what Jared Valesky of Journey to Million did, right, Jared? You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I've been on Thrive for a few weeks now, and I mean, it's been amazing. I've won like a few entries, a few worth over $50 that have kind of kept me going on Thrive. I mean, it's a great app. I like how it's structured. I like that the lines they give you, they can be generous at times. So I had a few MLB bets. I haven't won on an NBA one yet, which is kind of sad because that's like my sport. But
even I've won one, Jared.
Did you? You won on Thrive?
I did.
Oh my God, that's right, you did. But yeah, MLB, it's been nice. I won again today in a 4-leg pick. And then Drew, you posted on Instagram or
I posted when I won
the other one. Yeah, so it's been really fun, and that's the whole point of it, having fun and winning some money.
Yeah, I mean, I took second out of 22 in an LB contest. If you are first loser, you still win. So me being first loser, I still got a share of that prize pool. So I'm not complaining there. And look, Thrive has awarded over $13 million in total. So if you want to begin your journey to $1 million, you might as well just make it the journey to $13 million there. So yeah, I mean, use promo code J2M when you sign up. And we talked about it. I mean, it's on our Instagram, Drew Sports Crew. You receive 100% instant first deposit match up to $100. So you can deposit 100, get a 100 on top of it, plus 2 free contest entries when you deposit at least $10. And you get free 4 tickets when you deposit $100. So think about the value you're getting there. Insane value. And all you have to do is just download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store or Google Play Store, or by visiting the website, www.thrivefantasy.com. So that's how you're going to begin your journey to $1 million today. And look, we got to talk about what you get for signing up with that code. We didn't include one thing you get on top of it. Every 10 people who sign up will be entered into a giveaway to an autographed sports memorabilia. So we already had the first 10. If you missed out, you missed out on the first 10 because we're giving out autographed NFL stuff. It is official. We're giving out an autographed Marquez Valdes-Scantling card. And look, it's a nice card, and you're getting an autographed piece of memorabilia of an NFL player here just for signing up on top of this. So you can win your own money. Plus, you can be entered a 10% chance to win more stuff. If you missed out, like I said, you missed out on the Packer one, but the next 10 people get entered into a Brewer autograph giveaway. So I'd be signing up here, right? Locking it in here so you can have a chance for a Brewers autograph card. Doesn't get better than that. We let people vote too. I mean, we let people vote on this one here. It was either the rookie autograph Jordy Nelson card or the Marquez Valdes-Scantling. MVS did win, but right? I mean, Zach, would you take advantage of this? You're not even, like we said, you're not even that big into sports betting, but this sounds like a good deal, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Even if you don't know much about basketball, obviously Thrive makes it easy. Even if I can win one, anybody can win one.
That is true.
That's a good way to put it. And that's how we're going to wrap up here. So social media wise, you'll find us on the Instagram and Twitter. Like I said, Drew Sports Crew. So that's where you'll find all the stuff. You'll find the Thrive link is on there too. So if you don't want to type this in, the link will do it all for you. So just go find that link on our social media, YouTube and Facebook, Drew's Sports Crew. And then that you'll find me then on social media, of course, Drew Skyberg. And then Jared, you want to shout your social medias out, and Zach as well.
I mean, Instagram, Valley Jar, always have been.
You got to find Zach.
Zero Schwan.
Zach, do you want to shout out your Snapchat?
I think it is also Zero Schwan.
You changed it?
It is Zero Schwan. We'll wrap it up there. So thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, The Journey to Million, the perfect podcast for you.